So like I said, I had to get my thoughts together. So what I wanted to do, because I saw it and I know what they do. Like after I leave, they're on the radio every day. I feel like they have allegedly a network of people that spread and distribute misinformation. And again, it was like he let that dude say his whole agenda. And if people didn't believe in that guy before, now they could possibly believe in him. It almost like he came up there to say, tell everybody why they should think like you. And they never let me tell everybody why you should think like me. And let them decide. They stopped me and cut me off every time. And I was going to count how many times, but I'm going to do that for the lawsuit. But it was ridiculous by the first minute. Look at the intro of this guy and look at the, of mine. It's crazy. And one of the things I wanted to say is it related to the chairman situation, and then I'll expound on that story later, was that I have no intention of running Revolt staff, because when my content is on there, I don't use Revolt staff. I use my staff. And I am the chairman of my family office. So when I'm on Revolt with my content, which I made that they did not pay for, I am, in fact, the chairman of that content that's on anywhere, because you don't own it. And what I need people to understand is Revolt is broke. They have debt, a lot of it, about 70, 80, and again, I don't know exactly the numbers. I could go look, but they have a lot of debt, maybe 70, $80 million. America New has no debt. Revolt uses other people's technology for their programmatic ads. I have my own programmatic ads. And one of the things I was going to present is, instead of using, and no disrespect, they use a LBGT network, and I'll get their name in a minute, or whatever you call. I'm sorry. And again, what's it called? LBG. Okay, I'm sorry. Nicolette will punch me in my face if I get that wrong. Okay. But if they took that and put it on our technology, we could probably make them a lot more money, and as well as ourselves. And I was formulating all those numbers to show them. But the thing about DeTavio is that he's the CEO, and what's the name of that company? Off Script. And I guess Off Script is his company. And I want to teach y'all something. And if you could follow this. So when you buy a company, there's preferred stock and there's common. And what would happen if a company gets sold, especially if they have a lot of debt, the debt would get paid off. Let's say the company got sold for $80 million and they owe 70. So the debt would get paid off first, and there'd be 10 million left. And then the preferred stock would probably get the majority of that. And whatever's left, then common gets. DeTavio has common stock, but the common is who he really represents. I guess, again, I don't understand the infrastructure, and that's what I was trying to learn. I guess the common manages the company, but he definitely represents that he owns it, but he owns the common. And if it gets sold for the debt, they won't make a dollar. So when we were trying to buy Revolt, they were asking for a phenomenal number that we knew, and a multiple. And I'm not going to explain that now. I'll let a business show explain that. The multiple was 10, and that's not the multiple. It's at 4 at most, because the industry's not doing so well. So it was no way anybody could buy it, but what they were doing was making us all put in bids. Richard Luke made a very high offer, and you get 30 days to go close. So it doesn't mean you have the money. It means you have the ability to go get the money. So when people buy companies, it's never their money. It's just them that were it's like if you're a good businessman in that world, you're good at raising money to go buy shit, but it's not yours. So you have 30 days to go raise the money, but you can't raise the money traditionally if something is being sold at 10 times and its only multiple is only 4. No traditional anything is going to touch that. Pause. So what it looked like to me was he used all of our, and Richard Lugan, they gave him these days, and there was this announcement that y'all remember that someone bought it. What happened to that? They gave him the exclusive 30 days to go find the money. But we all knew he can't find the money. The multiple's crazy. That's nuts. So it seemed to me that they were making us, it takes a lot. And I'm not going to say I was talking to him direct. I was part of a group. You see, I'd already asked Puff if I could buy the company. As soon as he was going through problems, I said, I can help. Let me take that. And he was like, I'll pause. I was like, pause. I was like, let me take that. And he was like, nah, I'm good, Playboy, but thanks for asking. I truly appreciate it. And I left it at that. But I knew then he would never sell it to me. So again, I just said, I'll play the back, pause. And, so it takes a lot. I went and raised money. I went and did all the things you need to do to buy it. I had people fly in, all these things. And after Richard Lou didn't come back, other people started bidding on it. And I did, and my group did as well. We put a bid, did all this work, paid lawyers, and it didn't sell to anybody. All of a sudden, the Common has it. And I'm thinking, like, who's the person that solicited this in the first place? And it was DeTavio. Not to me, but to my group. And I'm like, he had no intention of selling that. He wanted to inflate it by saying, look at all these offers and do whatever. That's called like a management buyout. But they didn't really do a management buyout. But what I do know is if it did get bought for the debt, they get no money. And it seemed like DeTavio was telling me I had a pathway to ownership, but maybe through his Common, but I don't talk to DeTavio. I talk to the bank. And he did tell me that. And at first in our discussions, it was just us putting bosses take losses, busting down the profit with an advance. And I didn't even ask for one. He volunteered it. But with a pathway to ownership so I could see exactly how things were going. So I asked him, and then he told me, I got to talk to you when I see you. Talk to my man. What's the dude's name? The other, Dion. Talk to Dion. It's all on email. When I talked to Dion, he's saying we have a handshake deal. Let's move on. I told him I was making the announcement. I talked to Dion. I tell him I'm going on the Breakfast Club, all these things. And he goes, yo, you should be the chairman. So I said, for the month. But I guess for them, they thought it was going to be like Cameron's CEO for the day. That's how they took it. I'm like, nah, I'm the chairman of my shit, and I am trying to buy. But it was, I was going to throw jabs at Cam because we're beefing, pause. So it was going to be funny as well. So it's like I get a lot of things done at one time. But I don't work for y'all. I don't need permission to make an announcement, right? But I did, as a partner, tell you what I was going to do. You knew I was going to the Breakfast Club on Monday. You know how early they shoot. And I talked to him, and I told him what I was going to say, that I was the chairman, but I wanted to say that I was the interim chairman. And Dion said, nah, don't say interim chairman, just say chairman, because it's going to fuck with everybody else. Now, I want you to understand what this looks like. So he doesn't tell the rest of his crew he's doing this, and now they think I'm the chairman, and now there's pandemonium in his office because he didn't talk to his crew. Doesn't that sound a little bit like what Cameron did when he went to announced he was vice president? We had a real conversation, and it was going to happen. I didn't tell him. The only difference is I didn't tell him to announce it. This guy told me to. I told him I was going to announce it. But look what it did to Rockefeller. So I can imagine what it's doing to his crew. But this is what I don't understand. And if you could ask DeTavio, because he won't get on the phone with me, when both him and Dion. So again, I called him, told him when I'm going to do Breakfast Club, and I told him that I had a comment from DeTavio as well. But it was temp till I spoke to him, and I just forgot to but I just took it based on what he'd be saying to me. But I was waiting for him to approve it just because it was his word. So I did make a mistake there. But for some reason, they disappeared. So the last time we spoke was Saturday, then Sunday's coming through, and I'm texting them. But after a while, I'm like, yo, I'm Dame Dash. I'm not texting you all day, and y'all don't have more money than me. Y'all don't. Y'all got millions, tens of millions of dollars of debt. My company, my family office has zero debt. So we sell our company, we get all the money. The the family office. So, you know, I'm like, why would they do that unless they're in cahoots with Cam? But I'm like, he can't be that stupid. So I was going to make the announcement, but I was going to explain that I'm the chairman of my crew when I'm on Revolt, and that probably would have made it where it wasn't so much pandemonium. And before y'all let me just explain it, you cut me off. So now you fucked up my business, because it made my people I was working with uncomfortable. And now I have to sue them. So I hit them with a demand letter rather, for $100 to $200 million. But it's really, to me, I think it's the Tavio. So now I'm thinking, if he had no intention of me buying the company, why would he want my content on there? Oh, so he could drive up his numbers, solicit it to another company that might overpay based on what they think is going on because of what I'm doing, and then they would get paid. So instead of getting the debt taken care of, they might get $200 million, and there'll be room for common. So it seems like he's only doing what's in the best interest of the common stock, and that means the only way that they could sell is if is a big number. And when I asked him, he said, "No, I don't want no money." He said, "We don't want it." I said, because I even told him, I said, "Yo, I just want to take the debt." He said, "No, we want an injection of money." So I'm like, why? And then I realized that it made sense. So that's how I see it. And you won't talk. The whole issue I'm having with Cameron is because he publicly said, "I will not talk to you, but I'm going to talk about you on, other platform." None of this would have happened if he would just talk to me. Detavio, if you would have picked up the phone, Dion, why both of y'all, just explain that when someone asked you in an interview, why you didn't pick up the phone knowing that I was going to do the announcement? And why did you tell me there was a pathway for ownership? You told me, "I'll talk to you when I see you in October." I'm like, I'm not waiting till October. And why you think I got to ask you if I have to make an announcement? Now, I might have been wrong about your quote, but I asked you to approve it. I did the same thing with BET and Paramount. I almost prematurely made an announcement. They hit me and said, "Don't make it." And I said, "Cool. That one is going to be in deadline." But I did give them the opportunity to tell me to chill, and y'all didn't do that. And it looked like you did it on purpose. Cam, to me, collaborated with that publicly, and it just feels like you were trying to make me bump up the numbers and play me like you played us before. And I don't know if the bank knows you're doing that. So HSBC, if I said it right, they own the debt. They sold it to BlackRock. This is all public. BlackRock owns Revolt. And I don't know that he's delivering these messages to the bank. So BlackRock pause. I know $90 million is nothing to y'all. I will take that debt. And Detavio didn't tell you that I offered that. Then he's not doing allegedly, he's not doing what's in the best interest of the overall Revolt. He's only protecting common. So, right now what I want to do is pivot to playing, because I see what y'all do. All of these bots, like I see titles saying I was unhinged when it was y'all that were yelling, and I was chilling. That was the calmest interview I ever was, as much as y'all triggered me. So I wanted to play some of the opinions that I'm seeing, because I know you keep, playing opinions from your perspective. And then you want to do the joint collaborative IG stories, or IG posts, so that all your negativity could be on my feed. And I'm noticing I got 30 million people that's come to my Instagram and not one follower. That seems a little weird to me. And I will be looking into that. So again, I definitely am going to have to settle this in court. I did send them demand letters, and by the time you see this, I would probably have already filed on Detavio and on iHeart and Charlemagne and the rest, everyone except Jessica Hilarious. And the reason why I had to do with that thing with Cam was because he was talking about my family, and people love me, and there are people that I know that I cannot control. I don't even bring them around, and he probably has the same. So in order for that Like what Daniel told me was, yo, bro, a couple times I wanted to punch this nigga in his face and they were disrespecting you, but I saw you had a handle. So that meant if I didn't have a handle, he would jump in. So I want to make sure people know I'm handling this. I'm going to do it on my own. No one jump in. You know, my job, regardless of how you would jump in, is to keep all my friends and people I love out of jail. You know, so I'll deal with these things on my own. Let me do it my way. And, you know, big shout out to Larry and Larry's wife, Larry's family, little Larry Jr., his sister. I really love y'all and I miss y'all in my life. And that beef is squashed between us. Pause. Hopefully Cam and I can resolve it the right way. So now I want to be transparent about my plan because it's all legal and I want y'all to learn from this. So another announcement I was going to make is that I'm going to do a bankruptcy show and a show about my teeth. As it relates to my teeth, you know, Killer Mike hit me the other day and he was like, yo, I got a good dentist for you. And I was like, well, and I appreciate that. But, you know, my dentist is Dr. Appa and he's the best dentist in the world. And I sent him his Instagram. He was telling me his dentist was ill, but then his dentist hit him back and was like, nah, that nigga's really ill. And the funny thing is he's really my friend. I've known him for 30 years. No, I'd say since my teeth, which might have been 20-something years. And since he did my teeth, pause, it was about 200 grand or whatever it was, he did Rachel's teeth. He's never charged me, and I hope I'm not telling our business, but as a friend, he'd be like, I can't charge you for your teeth because you're my friend. So my teeth and getting them fixed because of money was never a problem. And like I said, everyone gets their teeth fixed. I'm just the only one that shows it. So I guess whoever got implants while you were going through the process, you were snaggletooth and you were this and you were that. Now, there were more things I was going to say based on what Cam and what I heard that he said, but because of Daniel, I'm not going to address him anymore. And in advance, I'd like to apologize to Harlem because I know this isn't the best representation of us. But all that will matter is where we end up. We do argue in Harlem. It's just we don't usually do it publicly. And I would have preferred not to, but Cam publicly said he's not taking my calls. I call British. I call PT. And I think, and the Queen of Harlem. And I didn't understand what Sen and them were talking about as relate to some fight. I don't remember, and maybe I did, but I remember calling y'all yes men. But Sen, what I was referring to is when you were training and you came to my house and you went and got some gloves because I was like, go get some. And we boxed in my backyard. That was the fight I was talking about. That was it. I didn't think that was anything that should have triggered you because it really happened. And then you fought my son Boogie and I said, I have the footage. And that was it. And what I said was, I caught you. I was catching you. And I said, you caught me one time and I gave you your props. What I was saying is I respected the fact that you wanted a fair one, but I just wanted you to respect that I gave you a fair one. And we did it like gentlemen. We weren't mad at each other. I just felt like you had, you know, because when I say abusive, I used to tease you a lot. No disrespect, but you was a dirty motherfucker when you was little. You was a dirty, ashy little dirty nigga. And that's not disrespect. Who you are now is not who you were. But you cannot tell me that you were not a dirty ass nigga when you were young. And I used to hit you sometimes because that's what it was, a pecking order. We used to, we used to fight. I used to beat Snapper up, pause. I used to, y'all were younger than me. And when y'all got older, y'all all challenged me. And I respect that. Snapper would come home from jail. And this is a dude I used to hit with packs, pause. And he used to run the fuck off every time. And my friends used to want to, people I was working with used to want to hurt him. Because I used to keep giving him chances. And he went to jail, did a little skid bit, came home, acting cute, pause. And I said, fuck it, come on. I'll give you a fair one. And he'll tell you how that went. But again, I was just saying that you know, you wanted your lick back. And I said, all right, I'm 40 something, I'll give it to you. Pause. And I gave you a shot. That's all I was saying, son. Don't get so offended. You acting like I was talking about Roy Jones or something. And I don't start talking. I don't want to have no problems with Roy Jones, so don't do that. So that's what I was saying. I don't know what all that other shit you were saying was. Like I said, Larry, all I could do is give you love right now because I know you need it. So I'm not going to even say nothing. You know, you get a pass. I wanted to, get everything done for my family office, but I didn't want nobody to know what I was doing for the family office because Chris Brown started sending letters. And a lot of the things that were major we were doing, he complicated it because there's so many gray areas. And when you send a legal letter to corporate, they completely shut down. So I couldn't have that. So I said, let me get everything fixed. And there's been a lot of people that have done things to me over the years. And it costs a lot of money in legal fees. And I had to make sure there was a way and I could be strong enough because a lot of people I got to take on. And it's hard to do that when you have $25 million worth of debt. So now that I don't have $25 million worth of debt, thank you. And I got to go through a hearing and all this. And I'm sure Chris Brown will accuse me of hiding money and all this other shit based on the lawyer, based on his actions already. He's been calling my bankruptcy lawyer, like, let me talk to you. And he's like, nah, send it in writing. And then he doesn't reply anymore. And then Monique Bunn calls my bankruptcy lawyer talking gibberish. And that's the one that accused me of a sexual assault and lost. Tried to sue me for $250 million or 300 allegedly or whatever. And only got 40, 15 from me and 15 from Rock. But I didn't like the fact they put my girl through a lot. That's not what I want for her or my family office. She had to go through a trial, be accused of sexual assault. She had to go on a stand. We got questioned on a stand about the difference between me and the Dash Group, and the judge said, cool. But yet Chris Brown still sends all these letters. So again, I feel like he's not going to stop attacking and doing all the things they did. So I sent them a demand letter for a RICO, and Claudia is in that RICO. And I already said my reason. She testified falsely for benefit. And now the things she's saying, like, that I was on the set being inappropriate, the good thing is I tape everything. And this is exactly what she told the judge. And she did a bunch of interviews saying I was the best director in the world, and she spent a lot of time with my family, but she did one thing that was a big mistake. She kicked my dog. She kicked Dusko, kicked him right in his chest, broke Rocky's heart, because she didn't want him to get fur on her clothes. And I thought that was inhumane. And then she goes on and says that Rocky's not of color because she's only half Puerto Rican. You're half white. I don't understand that. And used to get on my bed in front of my girl, and I never ever made any sexual advances to you. Number one, and it's no disrespect, I'm not attracted to you. Your feet are terrible. You got the worst feet. Put them on camera and show everybody your feet. And if you show them the feet, you already know I had no intentions of doing anything with you. I don't remember saying anything inappropriate to you. And I'm gonna show y'all the first day. I'm gonna probably put a clip, but you can see the whole clip of every single day because I made edits and I taped it and I didn't take anything out. I don't think you could fabricate directing. But what was said on stand under oath is that I did not direct it. And you didn't bring Columbus Short. I did. And you can ask Columbus Short. You might know Columbus Short, but he would never be in one of those movies. The only reason why Columbus was in the movie, because he knows I do festival movies. And the way I edited that movie, The List, it was definitely festival bound. Just like every other movie that ends up in the theater. And I think you guys did yourself a big injustice because, well, however y'all did it, I didn't look at it. But it's a Tubi movie now. It's terrible. Allegedly. So, I hit her with a demand letter, and the rest of their whole squad. And I'll break that down and my reasons why. But number one, creatively, it took me a year and a half in my house with Paul, the other editor. I edited that shit for nights and days Timothy Bloom did the music. Then he never got paid. And I go to his house. It took a lot. And I was really proud of what I did. And I didn't like that y'all to me, Josh, my assistant director / line producer, who was envious of me, a white man, take the credit for what I did. And I couldn't believe Brian White would go along with that for money. So they all got lawsuits or letters. But I'm going to file it. I'll give them a chance to settle. But you could be for sure I'm filing that one. Again, allegedly, just in case you guys want to bother me and all this type of shit. But the reason why is because I went through so many trials that I really am very seasoned because of Chris Brown. I've seen the effect of what he does, so I know the effect. So I know, now y'all gonna see how it feels when I do it back. And it's not retaliatory. I just wanted you to do everything. Like, I don't understand why you would push Reasonable Doubt to auction knowing you're not gonna make a dollar, or any of my assets to auction, knowing that child support came first, then that 20 million from the government, and then you get paid. You wouldn't make a cent. I thought it was all to try to embarrass me. But if you could say why you did those things, tell it to the judge. But unless you settle, we will see you in court. That's a guarantee. So a lot of people I've hit with these letters, and I think they might think I'm playing. So, you know, I'm learning. We're supposed to file these lawsuits officially on Monday. So hopefully by the time you see this, you'll already be aware that you have a lawsuit. And then I just got to make sure I deliver them to you. But it's not hard to tell where the Breakfast Club is. You'll go there every single day. But at the end of the day, this has been fun. And it's all been very, very planned. Nothing reaction, like, very strategic. And I do watch The Godfather. And I did take a lot of what I did, my inspiration, from The Godfather Part 2. And this is also because I got this TV show that you'll be seeing on America New. And if I can acquire Revolt, please, any of the bank, BlackRock, I'll take the debt. And I'll give you a plan and I'll show you. But I think Detavio's he makes too much money. And I think that's what he's protecting, his salary and the interest of his common stock. Detavio, you're common. Your new name is Common Detavio. Later.